Yo, what is going on, boys? So, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing Android 13. And spoiler alert, I think Android 13 is broken as hell. I think Androids in general have a lot of broken attributes to them, but I think Android 13 is the most broken Android of them all. And on top of that, I think there's argument for him being the strongest character in the game. He is at least top 3 to top 5 characters in the game right now. So with all of that being said, let's start talking about why Android 13 is so broken. And first things first, we always look at the starting stats. As you can tell, Android 13 starts with 40k health. He starts with 3 key bars, which throughout this time that I've been talking, he's already almost at a full key gauge because he's an Android. And he starts with 2 skill points. Insane starting stats. 40k health is average, but starting with 3 key bars as an Android is insane because Androids, once they're in a key advantage, it's very difficult to get them out of it, especially if the Android is playing very aggressively and not allowing you to charge your key. Him starting with 2 skill points is very strong because he has a transformation that only costs 2 skill points. And his transformation will be ready within 5 seconds of the match starting. Which is very silly if you think about it. So what you could do, which a lot of people do this in DP, is they'll just spam key blasts, run around, keep spamming key blasts. Whoops. I kind of messed that up, but you get the point. Waste all of their key. Now they have a full key gauge. They didn't allow their opponent to charge. They go up to them, attack them. If they get a super counter, good, because you're at a full key gauge. You're probably going to win that Vanish War. Let's say you lose that engagement. If you get the super counter, you still win the Vanish War, or more than likely will win the Vanish War. The opponent is forced to super counter you at around maybe 6 times, because if they start with 2 key bars, that's about 6 super counters to gain the key advantage. Another thing that makes starting with 2 skill points so strong is that Android 13 has Wild Sense, which costs 2 skill points. So off rip, he has a free Wild Sense. And if you win your first engagement, you just set up Wild Sense and jail them. And I'm going to be demonstrating how to Wild Sense jail in my fights that I showcase later, because I'd rather demonstrate it as opposed to try and explain it in training mode. But that is just insanely strong as an Android, especially as an Android, because there is such a thing as Android jail, which I'll be explaining during the gameplay as well. So he has both Android jail and Wild Sense jail. If I win one engagement as Android 13, I could easily kill your character from 100% health down to 0% health. So with all of that out of the way, let's talk about his rush chains now. He has flying kicks on 1, heavy finish on 2, flying kicks on 3, heavy finish on 4. He has a step in heavy finish. And he has that little knockaway perception. Now, a lot of people might think having multiple of the same rush chains in a character is a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing because it allows for multiple mix-up opportunity. Such as if I were attacking an opponent, he has to worry about blocking high 2 separate instances in my string. So I have it on 1, and I have it on 3. Flying kicks, that is. That is a lot of mix-up. So I have 2 opportunities to do a 50-50 high-low, because I could easily, if they're blocking high, I could just hit them with an uncharged sweep, and I'll hit them. So that's 2 times they have to worry about 50-50 high-lows. And not to mention, I don't even have to do a high-low. If they're continuously holding high because they're scared of my flying kicks, I can just hit them with a heavy finish. And not to mention, I have 2 heavy finishes, so they have to worry about that 2 times. So I think having this type of repeated rush chain on Android 13 is very strong and allows for a lot of mix-up opportunity. I've already discussed Android 13 having Wild Sense. He has High Tension as his other skill. Not the best skill, I wouldn't really use it, it's not worth 2 skill points. It's only a 10% increase in damage, and he also gets a buff to his key regen. As an Android, he already has insane perpetual key gain. It's overkill, not worth the 2 skill points. Now, one thing that a lot of people might find a little odd that I like about Android 13 is that he has really slow momentum. meaning it takes him a long time to charge his rush chains. You see how slow that is. Now, a lot of people might not like that because it might make it a little more reactable in terms of vanishing, but I kind of find it throws a lot of people off. Not to mention that it allows for the opponent to turn around so they can face me. And there is one really good positive side of this, and it's his ground throw. And I really like Android 13's ground throw because it goes horizontally, meaning it's very easy to Z-burst loop with it. So what I like to do is full charge sweep, ground throw. I could just spam this. And as an Android, it really doesn't cost much because I gain all that ki back. Now let's discuss Android 13's supers. He has this rush super, which does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage. And what makes it so strong is that if the opponent tries to revenge counter it, they'll get that weird revenge counter where it'll give you a dragon dash and you could sidestep it. Sometimes you'll get the fast revenge counter, but I'd say like 80% of times people get the dragon dash revenge counter. And that is bad. You could just end up punishing someone for doing that. So in a sense, it's unrevenge counterable in a way where they shouldn't revenge counter it. If they do, you could sidestep it and punish them badly for using it. His other super is this beam super, and it's a very, very fast super. And what makes these two supers really strong is that if your opponent is sidestepping in neutral, let's say they don't have a sway, you could catch them on the sidestep by throwing out a rush super. And let's say if they do have a sway, which a sway is, if you didn't know, let's say Android 13 has a sway. So if you sway, this is a sway. So you step and then press guard. Step, press guard. You could sway rush supers, meaning the rush super will miss if you sidestep and then sway. But a beam will catch a sway. Is this gonna happen again? No. Okay. In neutral, you have to be very careful of sidestepping a good Android 13. Nope. Okay, cool. Now let's quickly discuss Super Android 13, which I like to call him Blue 13. Blue 13 is very, very strong. He has increased defense. I believe he has 9% damage reduction, whereas in base form he takes 5% more damage. So this is just a very tanky character, along with his skills having Android Barrier, which costs 3 skill points. His other skill is Pump Up. He already does a lot of damage, but Pump Up just makes it even more damage. He has 15% increase in damage, and that is a lot of damage. Oh, and one odd thing that they changed, Android 13 used to have this weird gap in his Type 1 combo string. They now changed it to be a very fast hitting move, and that could be really awkward to super counter. Android 13's barrier is not the best. I wouldn't recommend using it if someone has your back because 1, they could punish with a super, and 2, they could punish with a revenge counter. I would really recommend you use it when they have you from the front. If you lose neutral, just immediately pop Android Barrier to avoid being punished. Now let's look at his rush chains. He has Heavy Finish 1, Rolling Hammer 2, Rolling Hammer 3, Heavy Finish 4. He has a Step-in Rolling Hammer, and he has a Perception Heavy Finish. Now, one of the strongest things about Blue 13 is that he has a Super Explosive Wave, which there's a lot of setups for this. Not to mention that it doesn't require a step back, so if someone sidesteps you, you can just catch them with this.
Okay.
Now, I wouldn't really recommend comboing into it because it'll scale heavily. But you could set up a reset with it. So this will take a little bit of timing. You just charge a Ki Blast, wait for them to recover a bit. I didn't do it correctly there. You can see how it scaled pretty heavily. If I wait a little bit, I'll be able to reset the damage. Let's see if that worked. Yep, that worked. And that does a lot of damage. Now, base 13's ultimate becomes blue 13's super, which I don't think this is the best super. It's a super. It's funny to catch people who don't know that it tracks really hard, but in general, if you're fighting someone who knows what they're doing or who has experience fighting this, you just hold guard and they'll be fine. Android 13's ultimate is a grab ultimate. Pretty easy to vanish. Not the best ultimate in my opinion again. It's a pretty cool ultimate. It does damage, mediocre damage. But I think just going to sparking, not using your ultimate, not spending all of your ki is probably the best thing as an android. It's not that hard to go into sparking mode as blue 13, because if you transform, gain the full ki gauge, you can just immediately start charging into sparking, threaten spark, make your opponent come to you and start attacking you. You're at a full ki gauge. They probably spent ki approaching you. You can just super counter right away, which is one of the most annoying things about this game, is that it takes ki to approach, and if your opponent super counters right away, you're in a really bad position there. But yeah, that's kind of all I really have to discuss about Android 13 for now. A lot of what I want to talk about will be demonstrated in the gameplay, so I hope you guys enjoy the commentary that I have in the gameplay and I show you guys how strong and broken Android 13 can really be. But now I want to really discuss the nerfs that Android 13 needs. And this goes for basically any Android. Almost every Android starts with 3 key bars. They do not need to start with 3 key bars. I think it's fine if they start with even 1 key bar. I think even starting 0 key as an Android is okay. On top of that, every Android starts with at least 1 skill point. Android 13 starts with 2 skill points. There is no need for him to start with 2 skill points, especially in a game mode like DP, where you're spending 5 DP on Android 13, and then he could immediately, almost immediately transform to a 7 DP. You're technically getting a 7 DP character for the price of only 5 DP. And another change that needs to be made to Androids in general, not just Android 13, is the perpetual ki gain is just too quick. Like, I think a good way to change it is 1, make the perpetual ki gain slower. 2, make it so that if an Android gets hit, they should not be able to gain ki for like half a second or something. They need to be locked out of ki gain. But I think Androids need a big nerf. They've been running the meta since the game came out. They have to be on the developer's radar for a nerf, but they just haven't. If anything, they've gotten stronger. I don't understand it. They really need a nerf. But like I said, I'm going to discuss a little more in depth on why they're so broken in my gameplay. So enjoy that and have a good night, you guys. Alright, here I am commentating. My first match is a DP match, and I think Android 13 is the most valuable character for DP. Because like I said, he is only 5 DP, meaning he could fit on any team with the most broken character. You could do Whis and Android 13. Like I said in my spotlight, I could transform to blue 13 right now if I wanted to, but I'm opting for Wild Sense Jail. You can see I used it in the middle of my combo. You'll notice I use Wild Sense in the middle of my combo after I step in. Because there's so much hits done on the step in, I could just use Wild Sense. And you can see how much ki advantage I have over my opponent. If he super counters me, it doesn't even matter because I have Wild Sense up. So that's exactly what happened. I had Wild Sense up, avoided the super counter. Here, I could have vanished him, but I just didn't have his timing right away. I'm able to Z-burst loop him. Android Jail. Super counters me, you're gonna have to do more than just 1 super counter against an Android. And the dumbest thing here is that the super counter is resetting the chain. So every time he fails to get himself into a ki advantage through the super counters, I'm able to just knock him back over and over and over. And look at how much ki I have over him still. I'm able to jail him with Wild Sense again. It doesn't matter if he super counters me. You have to super counter more than like 3 times every single time if you want out of this. Or have an explosive wave. And this little Dragon Dash Clash minigame, I don't think should cause a knockback. And it also gives 1 skill point. I don't think it should give a skill point. But you can see all these super counters mean nothing. His best bet to have gotten out of all of this is to vanish one of my rust chains, which unfortunately he was not doing any of that. He's just trying to super counter out, and that's exactly what I want. I want him to super counter me. And again we clash. I gain a skill point off of it, now I'm able to Wild Sense jail. I activate Wild Sense before I Dragon Dash at him, or Zebra Stash. And I reset him. Resets on androids are absolutely broken because I'm just going to force you to super counter me. And like I said, I want you to super counter me. And there's the super counter. Wild Sense to dodge the super counter. And he rage quits. Understandable. But here's a gameplay of me using Goku Black. I know a little random, but I want to show this to show how to counter Wild Sense jail. So you can see I'm Wild Sense jailing my opponent here. About to make a pretty good comeback. Oh, good vanish. Fuck. Catch him with the Zebra Stash, luckily. I read out the perception here. And if he super counters me, I should win. But you could super counter Wild Sense. No, 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 I should have been mashing perception. No. Oh, I could have came back there, but he did an insane super counter on my Wild Sense. Fuck, bro. So that's not like a really hard counter. I believe you could step in on the Wild Sense as well, but I have never really labbed that out. So I can't speak much on it, but stepping in on the Wild Sense and completely avoiding the hit is more of a hard counter. Super countering the Wild Sense isn't a guaranteed counter because I could still be in key advantage, especially as Android 13. I could still super counter back, and at the same time, I don't have to let my Wild Sense activate. I could just do a normal vanish. If you're looking to super counter my Wild Sense, which is a different timing than a regular knockback, I could hit you with a vanish attack. But anyway, back to the gameplay. Now I'm in singles with Android 13, and I think Android 13 is easily like a top 3 to 5 character in singles. He could even be the best character. You can see how much ki I have over my opponent. These transform characters could counter androids because they could gain a full ki gauge and help them counteract the key advantage that androids have. But you can see how I'm always in the key advantage. Just a few hits and I have a bar and a half over my opponent. It's crazy. Now this is in a bad position for me because my opponent now pushed himself into key advantage. He used the super immediately, which I don't agree with. He allowed me to get back into key advantage with that, and I was able to vanish and punish him for it. And then I win the match off of that. Alright, let's see how match 2 goes. Look at this key advantage that I have. It's pretty risky to even attack me because I have so much ki. If you attack me and I super counter, I could take the engagement back. Which is exactly what happened. Good super counter. You're gonna have to do more than one super counter though. I didn't have Wild Sense up there, so the super counter hits me. And now he's in key advantage, so this is actually bad for me. But because of the perpetual key gain, I'm able to get the key advantage over him, even though I wasn't even doing anything. Which is why I said earlier in the spotlight, once you hit an android, they should be locked out of key gain. And I take that second match. Alright, let's see how this third match goes. I mess up the Ki Blast, but I still win the engagement. Damn, no super counters on my end. This is not good. One bad thing about Android 13 is that he is very squishy. Good catch on my revenge counter. Now he has the health lead on me. And that auto dodge is crazy. And now I'm the one in key disadvantage because he transformed and got a full key gauge. And I do something really stupid here. I use Wild Sense instead of transforming. I forget that I could transform. And if I transformed, I would have got 5,000 extra health and a full key gauge. And I really needed that full key gauge in that moment. It is what it is. GG still. And let's go on to the next set. I prefer staying in base Android 13. I'm not too big on using Blue 13 all too much. I don't really care to. A lot of times I just forget to transform as well. As you can tell when I forgot to transform there. Here I am fighting Iza. I believe he's number 1 right now. In this match, clearly he's using a more fun character in Golden Frieza. And I'm using a hard meta, Android 13. You saw I just used Wild Sense. So if Iza gets a super counter on me, I'm going to be able to jail him. There it is. And these loops are just so broken. See, a regular character like Golden Frieza could Wild Sense jail, but he's not going to gain a huge key advantage like Android 13 can. I basically stayed at a full key gauge that entire match. Now let's see how match 2 goes. Wild Sense is activated. Good vanish on my heavy finish. He's able to get out of the jail. And I use Wild Sense before I Z-Burst dash at him. I have not only Wild Sense, but 3 key bars over him right now. He's able to super counter my Wild Sense, but I had a huge key advantage over him. Didn't really matter all too much. And second match goes to me. I basically kept him in some sort of jail the entire match. Wild Sense jail, Android jail. It's very difficult to overcome. Especially if you're on a character that doesn't gain ki that quickly. Like Golden Frieza starts with 3 key bars, but unfortunately it's still not enough. Okay, now I'm in the key disadvantage. And an android that could super counter is very scary. Because if they could save their ki by super countering instead of vanishing, that is just going to be an extra layer that you have to overcome. He's going to win this vanish war. Look how much ki I have over him. I don't know what happened with my inputs there. But luckily I'm just super countering first string so often. Yep, another first string super counter. And that was a close match. I fumbled a lot of engagements, but because of all my super counters, especially as an android, I'm able to just bring it back. GG's to Iza. Alright, last match I'm going to show you guys. It's against another android. Android 17 has a 2 skill point barrier, but he only starts with 1 skill point. I start with 2 skill points, meaning my character is ready to counter the barrier with a revenge counter as soon as I spawn in. That's unfair. It's basically unfair. I basically make any explosive wave or barrier useless so long as I save my skill points. And I'm able to revenge counter that because of my starting resources. And we're both at a full ki gauge, but one of the strongest things about Wild Sense is that since it bypasses super counter, it doesn't matter if I'm in ki disadvantage or if I'm in ki advantage. But luckily for me, he's not even super countering to begin with. I'm able to revenge counter the barrier again. And I win the match. Mainly because his barriers are useless against someone who starts with so many skill points. And that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned something. And I really hope they nerf Androids and Android 13 soon. Have a good night, you guys.